Thank you. Mr. Secretary, I'd like you to take my first question, if you would, for the record, because I know that others will need to be involved in formulating an answer. Under what circumstances would the President request authorization from Congress for the use of military force in Libya? And second, sir, if not for Libya, under what circumstances would the President request authorization from Congress to use military force in general? Do you see the use of CIA and U.S. Special Forces in Libya as following the blueprint we used in Afghanistan?
Well, first of all, I can't speak to any CIA activities, but I will tell you that the President has been quite clear that in terms of the United States military, there will be no boots on the ground.
In Afghanistan, we went in to assist a well-organized resistance group, the Northern Alliance. We kind of took sides in a civil war and joined the side that was going to win anyhow. In Libya, the only opposition group in recent history is the LIFG, the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, a radical faction that has been waging jihad against the Gaddafi regime. Following the 9/11 attacks against the United States, LIFG was banned worldwide by UN Resolution 1267 Committee. It is my understanding that the LIFG is aligned with AIGM. And in a column earlier this month, New York Times' Thomas Friedman noted that Libya is not a nation. There isn't any loyalty to Libya. It is a collection of 140 different tribes, much more like Iraq. Sir, are we now aiding and abetting the same organizations that we are fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq?
Well, to be honest, other than a relative handful of leaders, we don't have much visibility into those who have risen against Gaddafi. But I think that in a way, speaking of the quote-unquote opposition is a misnomer, because it is very disparate, it is very scattered, and probably each element has its own agenda. Each of these towns that rose up in the West and that where resistance has been quelled basically did so on their own, and you didn't see people going from one town to the next to share in the fight. And frankly, that's one of the problems that that those who have rebelled against Gaddafi are facing, is the lack of command and control and the lack of organization. So I would say there are multiple agendas, very disparate elements across the country engaged in this, and at this point we don't have a lot of visibility into those.
What visibility do we have? LIFG is, in fact, sir, a major component of the opposition?
I'm just not aware. I just don't know.
My next question, sir, I know the premise is debatable, but many people feel that that this is an unconstitutional and illegal war. But I think almost everybody agrees that the cost shouldn't be borne by taxpayers by increasing our $14 trillion debt or by raising taxes, and they shouldn't come out of the hide of DOD. That hide's pretty thin now, sir. That's why I introduced a bill that I know you're aware of that would make DOD FY11 accounts whole by requiring the President to provide Congress a list of specific recommendations of non-security discretionary appropriations rescissions for FY11 by July 2. This bill exempts FY11 spending for DOD as well as the Departments of Homeland Security and Veterans Affairs. Mr. Secretary, the legislation requires that you report to the President no later than June 1 with estimates for total FY11 expenses in Libya based upon expenses incurred through May 15, 2001. Is this a reasonable time frame for you to assist Congress in our effort to ensure that the capability of our armed forces fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq are not degraded by the President's unconstitutional and illegal war?
Well, first of all, I can tell you that our costs as of last Monday were about $550 million. And in the new support role that we assume today, we expect that the run rate, we estimate that the run rate will be about $40 million a month. So I can give you that information now.
Is this date a reasonable time for you to tell us what rescissions, what it will cost, so that we can find the President can find the rescissions?
Well, I'd have to consult with the White House and OMB on that.
Would you do that for the record, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.